Can you imagine discovering that your girlfriend of 3 years was messaging a celebrity, begging for a night with him, while she was in a relationship with you? This is the story of a man who found out by accident, in a stupid detail, on a phone he should never have opened. But what he did with that information wasn't a fight at home. It wasn't a private conversation. It was in front of her entire family, on a day when everyone expected him to propose.
My girlfriend was offering herself to a celebrity in the DMs. I exposed her in front of her entire family. My name is Raphael. I'm 31 years old. I had been dating Amy, 32, for 3 years. I thought we were going to make it all the way, at least to the point where I would propose to her. We never got there. She destroyed it before that. I did my best as a boyfriend. I let a lot of things slide that I shouldn't have. I caught her lying a few times throughout the relationship. I should have ended it right then, but I was too in love. The lies didn't seem like deal breakers at the time. That helped me keep going. My mistake. I always had an aversion to women obsessed with celebrities. There's nothing wrong with knowing what's going on in a famous person's life, especially when it becomes actual news. But when you treat the life of a famous stranger as the most interesting thing in the world, I get annoyed fast. Amy wasn't like that when we met. If she had been, the relationship never would have gotten as far as it did. That interest came out of nowhere. She became an obsessed fan of a contestant on a reality show. Strange behavior to me, but considering how long we had been together and the fact that it was, at the end of the day, harmless, I let it go. I didn't hide my disapproval. She didn't like that I hated it, but all she could do was try not to show it as much when I was around. I didn't know yet what the worst case scenario looked like when you have a girlfriend like that. I found out the hard way. My phone broke and I had to take it in for repair. I spent a few days using hers. There was a restaurant we used to order from through Instagram. I asked for her phone to message them. She handed it over without thinking. She probably forgot what else was in her DMs. When I opened the direct messages screen, the third name on the list was the celebrity. This guy had already become an irritating presence in my life, so I recognized the name immediately. I opened the conversation. I saw her throwing herself at him, message after message. Not a single one had been answered, not one. But she wasn't just cheering for him or sending supportive messages. No, she was writing about how much she loved him, how attractive she found him, that she wanted the chance to see him at least once. That came up multiple times throughout the conversation, in different forms, but with the same meaning. And there was one specific line I still can't get out of my head to this day. Give me one night, just one. I would give up everything for that. Her words, not mine.
And this detail right here is what separates obsessed fan from emotional betrayal. Cheering for someone famous is one thing. Explicitly writing that you would give yourself completely to another person if you had the chance, while in a committed relationship, is something else entirely. The intention was right there. All that was missing was the opportunity.
I closed the conversation. I ordered the food. I tried to hide my mood. It didn't work very well. She noticed something was off. I covered it by saying I was annoyed about the broken phone. She believed it. Later, when she stepped away from the phone, I picked it up again. I recorded a video of all the messages she had sent the celebrity. I read through every single one calmly. The more I read, the angrier I got. 80% of it was silly fan support messages. The other 20% was her being completely disrespectful to our relationship, and written in a way she would never be able to deny or explain away. I didn't confront her, not yet. I saved the video, and I started thinking. My first idea was to cause a scene at a restaurant, but the timing was perfect when she told me her family was getting together for a big event about a month later. I decided to wait. Holding everything in for a month wasn't easy. Continuing to act normal, pretending the relationship was fine, knowing what I knew, but what kept me steady was thinking about what was coming. On the day of the event, we drove 3 hours to the venue. The day started well. There was a blow-up between some of her uncles over politics, but aside from that, it was pleasant. Part of me hesitated, but I knew I was going through with it. I waited for a quieter moment in the evening. I stood up and said I had something important to say to everyone. The immediate reaction was exactly what I expected. The older women in the family lit up, eyes brightening, smiles all around, everyone assuming it was a proposal. Amy looked confused. I waited until I had everyone's attention. I started by talking about Amy and everything we had been through together. 3 years, the stories, the moments, the plans we had made. At that point, I'm certain everyone in the room was convinced the proposal was coming. When I got to the present, after the whole trip down memory lane, everyone was waiting for the question. I didn't ask the question. I said that unfortunately, Amy and I were not going to move forward. I watched confusion take over the room. Then I let it all out. I told them I had discovered she had been shamelessly offering herself to a celebrity she was a fan of, that it was incredibly disrespectful, that I had the proof, and that anyone who wanted to see it with their own eyes just needed to open their AirDrop. While people were opening their AirDrop, she came rushing toward me in a panic. "Why are you doing this to me?" I answered. "Why did you do what you did to me?" She said I hadn't given her the chance to explain, that it wasn't fair. I told her she had the chance right now, in front of everyone. If she told me something that made sense, I would apologize to the entire family and say I had edited the video. She stood there looking at me. She had almost a full minute to defend herself. She said nothing. She started begging. While she was begging, I was sending the video via AirDrop to everyone who had accepted it. She started crying. When I finished, I sat down. I wanted to give her family space to process and form their own opinions. Amy was theirs. I was only there because I was her boyfriend. You could see that some were taking her side, but it wasn't the majority. Many seemed genuinely shocked by what they were seeing. Then I stood up and headed toward the car. She ran after me. A few people followed to see what was going to happen. She had nothing to say beyond begging for another chance. I had slept on this for an entire month. I knew I had absolutely no interest in forgiving her. I told her she finally had her chance to be with the celebrity of her dreams. I wasn't going to get in the way. I got in the car. She asked how she was going to get home. I told her she had enough family around to figure that out. I started the car and left. The first half hour of the drive back was tense. I had finally released everything I had been holding in, and I felt that adrenaline restlessness that comes after. But after that, I turned the music up loud and enjoyed the drive. I got home, ordered food, went to sleep. I wasn't fantastic, but I was okay, and for that moment, that was good enough. Days later, in the middle of the night, I heard a loud banging on my door. I got up annoyed and asked who it was. No answer. I asked again. Nothing. I waited 5 minutes with something in my hand before opening. It was Amy, sitting on the floor beside the door. She jumped to her feet when she saw me. I asked if she was the one who had been banging. She stalled, but confirmed it. I asked why she hadn't answered when I asked who it was. She just made excuses. She said she wanted to apologize. She stood there asking my forgiveness for everything she had done. It seemed genuine, but genuine wasn't going to make me take her back. Then she shifted her tone and started begging. She said her life was empty without me, that she would never have let me go, that the celebrity obsession was just entertainment to her, that she had learned the hard way that it was disrespectful, that she wanted the chance to prove she had changed. I listened to all of it. When she finished and waited for my response, I told her there was absolutely no chance of us getting back together, that I was too hurt, that I was past the point where I would even consider it. She didn't accept it and kept trying. In the end, I went back inside, and she kept talking through the door. She said she wasn't leaving until I gave her a chance. I told her I was calling the police if she didn't disappear within 10 minutes. She stayed. I called the police. They arrived in about 10 minutes. She was still there, and when the officers approached, she tried to run. Terrible decision. She was detained and arrested.
They released her later that night. There was nothing serious on the charges, but it was completely unnecessary on her part.
And this ending says a lot about the emotional state of someone who doesn't accept consequences. She went there to apologize, but when she saw that an apology wasn't going to work, it turned into begging. When begging didn't work, it turned into refusing to leave. Each step was her trying to control the outcome of a situation she herself had created.
A week later, her father showed up at my door, angry because I had called the police on his daughter. I explained everything from the beginning. You could tell he was hearing the full story for the first time. He still took her side, which didn't surprise me. He left shortly after. He was someone I had genuinely liked before all of this turned into a mess. She now has a police record because she chose to be stubborn. I blocked her everywhere. I no longer have any contact with her family or mutual friends. She finally got the message and stopped showing up. I don't regret anything I did. It hurts to lose someone you thought was going to be with you forever. That's real. But I'm not going to negotiate my dignity. She threw away 3 years for messages that were never answered. For a famous man who doesn't even know she exists. I don't need her. And she learned that everything has consequences.
I need to be direct here. Some people are going to say that messaging a celebrity isn't cheating, that it's just fantasy, that it's harmless. But when you write, "Give me one night," I would give up everything for that while you're in a committed relationship. The only thing that was missing was the opportunity. The intention was written right there, word for word, in her own hand. And what gets me isn't even the messages themselves. It's that she never would have told him. She was never going to walk up to him and say, "Look what I wrote." She would have kept going until he found out on his own or never found out at all. call. He waited a month. He controlled every emotion. He made the 3-hour drive. He sat through her family reunion. He let everyone think it was a proposal. And when everyone was paying attention, he dropped everything. That wasn't impulsive revenge. It was surgical. She wanted a celebrity who didn't even know she existed. She lost the only man who was actually there.